Let us now enter a time of shared reflection and silence, and I take you there with these words by Abdur Rahman. He titles it Pilgrimage. Life is an unfolding pilgrimage, a journey towards the sacred center of the heart, that place beyond place, where all is still and bathed in morning light. If life is a pilgrimage, it must be lived as a pilgrim, in the clear sight of holiness and with the sanctity of gentle intent. Come, O soul, the beloved is waiting in the sacred precincts of the heart, where birds of love forever circle and a swift sun rises into eternity. Just beyond the demolished medieval wall and gate of Porta a Pinti, just outside the historical center of Firenze, Florence, I found myself standing at the gate of the English cemetery. The sign on the gate stated the summer hours were from 3 till 6. It was 2 o'clock, and I had somewhere else to be at 3:30. This was my only time in Florence, my only opportunity. And so, remembering a comment shared about the hours posted being akin to the speed limits posted in Italian highways, a mere suggestion, and that a couple of euros would gain entrance any time, I rang the bell. A cheerful voice came across the intercom. I explained my situation and mentioned that I am a Unitarian minister. The gate slowly swung open, and I was greeted by the caretaker, a gentlewoman with the cheerful voice that I had heard on the intercom. The English cemetery is Swiss property, the land having been purchased in 1827 by the Swiss Evangelical Reformed Church as an international and ecumenical cemetery. Until this time, non-Catholic or non-Jewish individuals who died in Florence were buried in Livorno, some 100 kilometers away. In 1877, the cemetery had to be closed, the medieval wall having been torn down when Florence became the capital of Italy, and Code Napoleon from Roman law forbidding burials within the city limits was enforced. In the 50 years it was in use, the cemetery received the remains of men, women, and children from all over the world, from Canada and Russia, the last descendants of William Shakespeare, and Nadadez de Santis, a black Nubian slave brought to Florence at the age of 14. Many known and unknown individuals rest there. The most famous tomb is that of poetess Elizabeth Barrett Browning. I had come, though, to pay homage to, as was stated on the entrance plaque, the great American preacher, Theodore Parker. I was grateful that in conversation with a ministerial friend prior to my leaving for Europe, he mentioned the English cemetery, for I had forgotten that Theodore Parker was buried in Firenze. Parker was a topic of a number of papers that I'd written in seminary. He is, for me, a hero. He was the first Unitarian minister to offer a time for children. He broke with Unitarian orthodoxy of his time, being a strong social justice advocate, primarily for the abolitionist movement, but also a very strong supporter of suffrage efforts as well. Conservative Unitarian clergy of his day labeled him a heretic. he was ostracized. He was denied access to Unitarian pulpits and journals, and efforts were made to eject him from the Boston Association of Unitarian Ministers. He refused to resign from his small congregation, and they stood with him. Parker regarded acting according to one's conscience as a religious activity. This understanding led him to become more and more guided by social activism. My thoughts for this morning, though inspired by this event on my summer vacation, is not about the life and theology of one of my heroes. It is rather about the visceral response that I had from being in that place, and the recognition of it as an unexpected pilgrimage, and some of the understanding gleaned thus far as I continue to open to insights offered from that moment, a rare moment of worth and value. I recognized it as a moment of worth because my whole self was involved. From the moment the gate swung open, there was a sense of something significant, something of value contained in the experience. There was simultaneously a sense of peace and unrest, and I felt a smile come on my face as the tears began to fall. I tried to give the soft-spoken caretaker, Elizabeth was her name, a few euros as both an expression of my gratitude for her welcoming me in, and also following the suggestion of what I thought was proper protocol. She would not accept my offering. Instead, she gave me a laminated map of the cemetery grounds, pointing out where Theodore Parker's resting place was, and also noted a number of others that she figured would be of interest to me. I didn't recognize any of those names, but nodded appreciatively for the information and began to walk the pathways, reading names, noting ages. So many were very young. Then I came to Parker's burial site, a tombstone with his likeness carved on it, and these words: "His name is engraved in marble, his virtues in the hearts of those he helped to free from slavery and superstition." As I stood there, memories of Parker's life floated to my consciousness, the fire of his commitment and the fragility of his health. I had read the biographies, the sermons, and the treatises, yet here in this place there was something incredibly concrete, tangible, something intimate. I felt connected to that fire of commitment, like something in me seemed to crack open, and I felt a sort of welcoming. A sense of being opened and welcomed is, I think, a common aspect of how I feel when I experience what I would call sacred moments. Now, as significant as standing before the monument to a hero was for me, and perhaps only because of the experience I had there, was I open, softened, and vulnerable enough to be aware when an even deeper gift was presented. Elizabeth, the caretaker, had been gracious enough when we met, though somewhat aloof. When I came to return the map to her, she looked at me, appeared to recognize my openness, and asked if I wanted to see the library and the work she is doing. She unlocked the doors and we passed into the private area where there were books written by or about the people interned in the cemetery. And there were amazing photographs. Not old, yellowed, preserved photographs. These were recent, faces incredibly alive, portraits that showed a depth of sorrow and mischievous zeal. A photo study of the Roma, the Gypsies. You see, they've been allowed into Italy, though they are never granted working visas, and so their only occupation can be begging. Their plight, not particularly publicized, is kept rather hidden. They are an invisible people. In those photographs, though, each face a rich, incredible story. And this gentle woman was teaching them to read and write. She is arranging apprenticeships for them to learn to restore and maintain marble tombstones. She does this with the vision, with a mission that they will have a vocation, that the Gypsies will become the caretakers of marble. When we left the library and returned to the office, it was as though we had left a sanctuary, a haven, a place of both safety and possibility. Elizabeth then let me make a contribution to the maintenance of the cemetery, and it was significantly more than my original thought. The only maintenance for years had been the spreading of toxic weed killers. It took years of her insistence and persistence to stop that practice. And she was like a child expressing sheer joy when she told me about one of the very old, 100-year-old roots that had managed to survive and was growing again. I don't know if I've ever met such a gentle spirit. I do know that she has left a mark on me, that she lives a life of significance, and meeting her was an unexpected blessing, a gift, and an inspiration. My visit to the English cemetery in Firenze was an unexpected pilgrimage. Now, unexpected pilgrimage may seem like an oxymoron, in that the term pilgrimage most often refers to a journey taken with great intention and purpose, rather than an unexpected moment. It was the unexpected quality of this experience that turned it for me from a visit to yet another European cemetery and into an unexpected moment of incredible worth. Pilgrimage is a journey to a special place, and that was true, though the uniqueness of this particular situation keeps unfolding new depths of meaning the more I reflect upon it. It is one of the other meanings applied to pilgrimage, that of a long journey or search of great moral significance that seems far more poignant. In her book, Crossing to Avalon, A Woman's Midlife Pilgrimage, Jean Shendoa Bolin suggests that life is not only a journey, but a pilgrimage or a quest as well. When we experience sacred moments, it often is not so much a matter of our outer geography, but of finding soulful places within ourselves. This sense of quest or pilgrimage, the search for moral significance, is personal internal work, and yet there is a collective aspect to it that draws us into community in that search. It is the kind of personal work that requires a time for being in relationship with others as well.